Ocean acidification is a decrease in the ocean's pH, which increases the acidity of the ocean's water. This has become a problem since the rate of acidification has been shown to be at least 100 times faster than at any other time in the last 20 million years. This is a threat to marine species, since the rate is faster than the time organisms have to evolve adaptations. It is caused by the amount of CO2 absorbed by the oceans and is produced by different reasons, such as the burning of fossil fuels or natural CO2 emissions. So, as for the problem we're investigating, it is the sustainable alternatives to paper in the kitchen to reduce household CO2 emissions. For our independent variables, we have the sample, the paper production process, the sample size, paper towel brands, and type of towel cloths. Our dependent variables are the amount of water absorbed, the amount of CO2 emission, and the amount of paper used. And as for our control variable, we have the use of paper in the kitchen. And well, the main reason our experiment is based on the use of paper in the kitchen is its connection to CO2 emissions, which lies in the emissions produced during the manufacturing and transportation process. For example, paper towels alone generate about 0.06 pounds of CO2 each, and the same happens with paper cup filters, which generate about 0.24 grams of CO2 per day. These numbers alone may sound small, but taking into account the huge consumption of these products used by families daily, these numbers grow exponentially.
Looking for a sustainable alternative paper, we came up with an experiment consisting of microfiber and cloth towers in order to compare them with their single-use counterparts. Similar process was used for coffee filters. So how did we do it? We laid our samples on a clean, dry surface after measuring the size of said samples. Then we poured them into the surface where we could most accurately measure them. To test the towel's effectiveness and to compare them, we poured a cup of tap water into the surface, then we cleaned it with paper towels until completely dry. We repeated the same process with both the microfiber and the cloth, both of the equivalent size to the paper towel. This process was then repeated with a cup of juice and later on with 150 milligrams of ketchup. So how did we process and analyze the data? We measured how much effort or quantity was needed to clear the surface in order to make our evaluation. Our collected data was then compared by performance to respective competition, reusable against disposable. As predicted, more paper towels were used than cloth and microfiber towels, 4 times more to be exact. The cloth towel was the best, leaving the surface completely clean and dry, while the microfiber did not leave the surface completely dry. And as for the paper towels, much more were needed to get an equivalent result. The same thing happened with the paper coffee filters, but the difference between the paper and the plastic filter is that every time you make coffee, you throw away the filter. If paper towels were replaced by either a cloth towel or microfiber one, apart from having better results using less towels, they will spend a way less amount of money. A microfiber towel costs around 20 pesos and a cloth one around 30 pesos. Both can last about 500 to 1,000 uses at least, while the equivalent in the cheapest packages of paper towels sold at a Walmart would be around 333 pesos for the same number of uses. This analysis can be done when talking about coffee filters, and the results are similar with the paper coffee filter packages having around 40 pieces that cost around 67 pesos. Plastic filter, 160 pesos, and a metal one, 200 pesos. Of course, plastic and metal filters can last for years even, but if we were to change them once a year, the expense will be the same amount as the cost. Whereas for the paper ones, the total cost per year will be about 1,273 pesos. Results are very clear. Disposable options create a humongous amounts of waste on every household that despite being the easy choice, its performance is not worth it when compared to reusable alternatives. It's at the fact that reusables are also a much cheaper alternative and can have much more applications on households. If the investigation was to be continued, other products could be taken into account in order to truly replace as many paper products as possible. not only in the kitchen, but in the overall household. This be the case, so the number of household CO2 emissions is lowered as much as possible.
In conclusion, cloth and microfiber towels both contribute to the reduction of waste and CO2 emissions that not only harms your wallet but also the environment. One of the most concerning contributions is the acidification of our oceans, since it can eventually threaten our society as a whole. We are in imminent danger, and what are we doing to stop it? Immediate action is advised, and helping from home with easy-to-reach alternatives is the least we can do, but most importantly, it's a great start. Turning to reusable alternatives can create a trend of actively reducing unnecessary consumption in our daily lives. Our results can only lead us to wonder how many more unhealthy habits we practice and what could happen if everyone were more conscious about it. Thank you so much.